What is up? It's Jan, back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is going to be my January wrap-up. Hello. I'm a little bit sick, so bear with me if I have to sniffle, cough, or do whatever. I edit them out usually, but my voice will remain this way, unfortunately. So we're gonna try to make this as quick as possible, so I talk as less as possible. I stop talking as soon as possible. Let's go with that. So if you're new here, I do all my wrap-ups as the reread, rewrite, burn tag, where I put all the titles I read on little slips of paper and I put them in this handy dandy skull, and I pull out 3 at a time and say whether I theoretically would reread, rewrite, or burn them. No, I don't actually burn the books. I've gotten comments before. This is like my 4th year doing it this way. Actually, I think January 2021 was the first time I did it this way, and I haven't looked back since. So I think this is officially the 4-year anniversary of this method, so woo for that. But yeah, this is just a fun way to do my wrap-up, but I start all my wrap-ups with a little bit of a recap. In the month of January, I read 22 books, which isn't my best for January. I usually read closer to 30 books in January in the past years, but I don't know what it was about this month. I think I was trying to do too much at once, as always, and it just got to me this time, because I did my like horror Goodreads vlog. I was trying to do too many vlogs at once, but the horror Goodreads vlog just went up today, so in case you missed it, I'll link it down below, and I'll try to link all the January vlogs that are up before this, because I'm still working on catching up. Bear with me for everything, okay? Life has been wild, but I'm looking at my pile of books here. I read a lot of my physical TBR, and I'm gonna be unhauling a lot too, and I DNF 5 books already this year, so pat on the back for me. Gold star, chocolate chip cookie, thank you very much. I am notoriously bad about DNFing and unhauling, so just from this stack alone, I am unhauling like 8 books, I think, and this isn't even all the books I read. That's just from my physical TBR. But anyway, 6,279 pages, and then my best book of the month was my second to last book that I read in January. I don't think anyone's surprised to see The Favorites by Lane Fargo as my best book. I haven't shut up about this book. No one has shut up about this book. I've only seen a couple people not rate this 5 stars. This is absolutely what people have been saying, comping it to Daisy Jones and the Six meets, not Magnolia Parks, because I didn't like Magnolia Parks. I DNF'd it at 100 pages in. But I could see the toxicity of Magnolia Parks, but I don't like comparing it to that. So Daisy Jones and the Six meets like all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, to be honest. Like the interview writing style of Daisy Jones and the Six, the fame of that, and then like the gossip and like telling the story of Evelyn Hugo, and then the aspect of the sports and the determination and wanting to win no matter the consequences. That's the Carrie Soto in this book. So, sorry, I should say all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's newer popular books, because I've read all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books and I love her backlist way more, to be honest. Like I said in my vlog, if you told me that this was written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I would have believed you, because it definitely has the storytelling aspect that she writes. This is very different from They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, but I'm glad she took this turn because I think it was super well done. The audiobook was really well done. I loved story, I loved the ending, I loved the progression of the story and like the character growth and character development, everything about this. Yeah, 5 stars. 5 stars. My worst book was my first book of the year, sadly, which was No Way Out by Santana Knox. I read this on my Kindle. This was on my 12 Recs by 12 Vamps, so at least there was that I could check off as one of my reading goals. God, editing Jan's gonna hate editing this video. Sorry to her. But this was pitched to me as a horror romance, and it was very much more romance than horror. It was just set around Halloween, on Halloween, and at a corn maze, and there was a scarecrow involved at some point, but the smut was just everywhere and it wasn't enjoyable to read. It was so short, but it felt like it was like 500 pages long. It was so bad. I did not like it at all. I think I liked maybe 1 page of it, and I can't even remember why, but I gave that 1 star. No, I didn't. I gave it 2 stars. Did I write a note? I thought I did write a note. Whatever. Moving on to the arc that I read. One of my monthly goals is to keep reading my arcs before they actually release, but even if they've come out already, I'm still counting it towards this goal. I read 2 arcs this month, I read At Dark I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca. I listened to the ALC, which is the Advanced Listeners Copy on Libro FM. I gave that one 4 stars. I really enjoyed is the wrong word, because it was very bleak, very melancholy, very depressing the entire time. But the audiobook was well done. There was like this poetic sense to it. I like the twist at the end. I like Eric LaRocca's writing as usual. They're just an author for me, and this was no exception. And then I also finally read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Yes, this is an art copy. I got this the library I previously worked at before my current one, and I finally picked it up. And yes, I get the hype. I get the Abby Jimenez hype, okay? You girlies were right. I gave this 4 stars though. I thought it was going to be a 5, but I still believe that at least one of her books out there is 5 stars for me. This was not it because Alexis pissed me off. She was just really annoying to read from, but otherwise I tabbed the hell out of it, and I love the story. I always love the city girl, small town boy, or vice versa situation. I will always pick up those stories and enjoy them, most likely, as long as the writing's good, and the writing was good. And I love the friendship aspect and the different like branches of drama that came through in this book. Yeah, the small town was super cute and wholesome. It reminded me of the show Heart of Dixie, which I absolutely love. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have read this already, but I finally picked up my very first Abby Jimenez, and I will link that vlog down below in case you missed it. My coffin covers challenge is a monthly reading challenge I have over on Patreon, where we look for things on covers of books and we read at least one book with that thing on the cover every month. This month, the challenge was to find a clock on the cover, and I read A Magical Girl Retires. It's technically a pocket watch, same thing, whatever. I read this for my Patreon readathon, and sadly I only gave this 3 stars. This is quite disappointing, but it was really cute. I mean, there's art on the cover, there's art all throughout, there are like illustrations. This was pitched to me as a love letter to manga lovers, so of course I wanted to see where this story went, and I feel like this is what a Studio Ghibli film would feel like, but it's book form. I've never watched a Studio Ghibli movie, I don't think, except Ponyo, a long time ago, but I would imagine this is what it feels like in book form. Actually, I've read Kiki's Delivery Service. This is definitely what that feels like. It's very whimsical, very simplistic of a story, I think, in terms of like writing style and series of events. Nothing was too deep, it was magical, and there was a conflict and they solved it. And it was super short. I'll be unhauling this. I gave this 3 stars. I'm glad I was able to check off my coffin cover for the month. One of my new monthly goals this year is to complete at least one book from a book subscription box that I have, whether that be book of the month, Aardvark, which I'm a rep for. You can use the code JAN at checkout to get your first Aardvark box for $4 and free shipping. I have Twisted Retreat, which I am also a rep for. JAN5 is my code for that. And then we have Fairy Loot editions, Illumicrate from the past. I have them canceled now, but I do still buy special edition books off of Pango if I can find them for cheap. I read 4 books from book boxes this month, and those are Bury Your Gaze, The City in Glass, Sleep Tight, and Murder Road. And The Favorites was also from book of the month. I should probably write that down. So we already talked about The Favorites. Bury Your Gaze, I gave 3 stars. I just didn't like the sci-fi turn that this took. I honestly couldn't tell you much about this other than the commentary on queer joy and queer rep in media, and how many times queer rep is attached to queer tragedy, and this was commentary on the fact that it should be more than that, and it should express queer joy, and we should stop, queer erasure. This is about producers giving our main character Misha an award for their film, an Oscar nomination for his film, but only if he kills off his gay characters. And then creepy things keep happening with his characters that he believes at first are stalkers, but it turns out it's something more than that. I mean, it was an enjoyable read overall. I just preferred Camp Damascus, and like I said, I wasn't really a fan of the sci-fi turn. The City in Glass was my Lair Bloody read for January. This is by Nevo. I also gave this 3 stars. I thought this would be the 5-star Nevo for me, but I'm still hunting. But I think upon reread, this could gain a star because I did like the ending a lot, and I liked the writing style. It was just my focus and my attention span were just not there while I was reading this. It was very like metaphorical. They have a very specific writing style that needs like all your brain cells on overdrive, I feel like, at least for me. And this is about an angel and a devil and a city that's crumbling before their eyes, and there's like a romance in here as well, which I loved, and there are some good quotes throughout, but I think I'll keep it to reread it. I originally wanted to unhaul this, but I think I'll reread this someday because it is a shorty patorties, and I do have have a spoiler-filled vlog going up on Patreon very soon. Then we have Sleep Tight by J.H. Marker. This is in my Horror Goodreads Choice Awards vlog, and I gave this 2 stars. I followed along with the audiobook for most of this. The premise sounded really good with like the copycat serial killers and like the serial killer called the Outcast, and then the serial killer disguising himself as a priest. This girl goes missing and there's this investigation, and it all sounded good in theory, but then when you're reading the book, there's like all these religious references. I don't know, I stopped annotating about a third of the way through. I was just not a fan of this writing and this story, and I almost DNF'd, but I didn't. I just wanted it to end and wanted to give it 2 stars. So unfortunately unhauling that, and I'm also unhauling Murder Road, which I also gave 2 stars. This is by Simone St. James. I've enjoyed their writing before. I've given her books 5 stars in the past. I've given The Broken Girls 5 stars, and I think The Sundown Motel I gave 4 stars, but she's very hit or miss for me, so I'll be unhauling this Illumicrate Evernight exclusive edition. All of these unhauled books will be on my Pango, which is always linked down below. But this is about a couple who's on their honeymoon trip, and they end up being prime suspects for this girl's murder because they picked her up thinking she was a hitchhiker, but she gets in their car and then she dies, and then they get caught up in this investigation trying to clear their names. They're in this town meeting all these people who knew the girl. It's just messy. Okay, it's just so messy. I liked learning about some of the characters, like backstories and stuff, but by the end of the book I was just like, I'm not into this and I really don't care about the case anymore. April, I think is her name, had an interesting backstory with her mom because they did some stuff. Oh, I just had a sneeze attack. I'm gonna move on. This is rough. Why did I decide to film today? Please, someone please explain. All right, and then I started keeping track of the books I read from my 2025 TBR. I need a pause. Okay, I blew my nose. Hopefully that's the only sneeze attack we get. I am keeping track of my 2025 TBR books that I read every month to make sure I'm making progress every single month instead of saving it all for the end of the year like previous years. We had No Way Out from my 12 Recs by 12 Vamps, and then from my 25 for 2025, we had Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, as well as The Gathering by CJ Tudor, which was my first 5-star of 2025. This is a thriller with vampires set in this small Alaskan town, and we follow this, what was she called? She was called like a doctor of forensic vampire anthropology and a homicide detective. The twists in this one were great, the reveals were great, the characters were fun to follow. They're just all of these quirky characters in this small little town who have their secrets. There's a lot going on in this book, and it was super fast paced. I love the setting. I love how the vampires are just known. It wasn't like, oh my god, do these things actually exist? And it's like, no, they exist, and I'm an expert on this. Now let's investigate to see if these small town murders were caused by vampires or other humans. Like, let's just see. This was a fun time. I will be reading more CJ Tudor in the future. I've read The Burning Girls and didn't really like it, but this one has rekindled my interest in this author's work. Let's get into the first 3, shall we? So we have 22 books, which means we have 7 rounds and then 1 wild card. First off, we have The Favorites by Lane Fargo, Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, which was my full moon book club pick. This was one of my least favorite books of the month, but my favorite vlogs I've ever done. So I'll link my spoiler-filled vlog down below. And then we have A Magical Girl Retires. Okay, so obviously reread The Favorites. No one's surprised. I gave Lights Out 2 stars. I go into it in the vlog. I quote cringy quotes and everything like that. I was just so annoyed by the main female character. I'm not gonna read the sequel. There were just so many cringy moments in this. I don't know. These are so... Okay, let's rewrite A Magical Girl Retires. Honestly, if we develop the character more, the main character, and the author gives us more reasonings behind choices that the character makes and like world building, I would have enjoyed this a lot more because it's almost too short. It reads like a middle grade, but the main character has very adult problems and worries, and she has a shit ton of debt and she's depressed. I just wanted to get to know her more, so I would rewrite that and then burn Lights Out. Sorry if you love this book. Please watch my spoiler-filled video if you haven't already. I'm so proud of that vlog. I don't know why. I just felt good uploading it. It's one of the best full moon book club vlogs that I've done so far, although Grady Hendrix's might top it. For February, we're reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I read it all in 24 hours. So that vlog's coming soon on February 12th. Hopefully this video's up before then, because I like to get my wrap-ups up by the 15th latest. So we'll see. But yeah, I just never want to see this book again, so I can't wait to unhaul it, even though I probably won't until December, and I take a picture of all my full moon book club books. All right, moving on. We have The Gathering by CJ Tudor, No Way Out by Santana Knox, and Part of Your World. This is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Reread The Gathering, already talked about her. Rewrite Part of Your World. Make Alexis less annoying. Oh my god. She just needed to make decisions faster. She is a grown-ass woman. Like, please, train yourself to have your own original thoughts and make your own decisions based on what you want. Follow your heart, girl. Like, you took too long to decide on a guy who would literally do anything for you. I love Daniel. Daniel deserved better. That's all I'm gonna say. And then burn No Way Out, because obviously. Hopefully these all remain this easy. Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert, The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, and Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. I would burn Sleep Tight, unhauling this, like I said. It was good in theory. The execution was not great. Rewrite Dungeons and Drama, make it adult. This would have been so cute, but I wish I wasn't reading about teenagers. I read this for my Keep It or Kick It vlog, so stay tuned for my thoughts on that, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I gave this 3 stars. It was so cute, but I would have loved if this were an adult story instead. Do I have the sequel? Yes. Am I gonna read it? Yes, but that's neither here nor there, okay? I would reread The Grown Up because I gave it 3 stars and I feel like it deserves better. I have friends who love this book, and it's a short little story, and I feel like I didn't give it my full attention, but if I do reread it and I still don't get the hype, then that's that on that. I don't even remember what happened. There was like a psychic and a house and a sun, I think, and weird things were happening with the house. I couldn't tell you. I don't even know why it's called The Grown Up, to be honest with you. I read that so fast, like I don't even remember. I'm sorry. Okay, so we have A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez, At Dark I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca, and Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. Okay, I would reread At Dark I Become Loathsome. I love the audiobook, gave it 4 stars like I said, and I really enjoyed the story of that one. It was just really hard to get through at times. Like, I had to pause and take breaks with that audiobook because that's one of the most depressing books I've ever read. I would rewrite A Sunny Place for oh, fuck. No. You know, I could say that for both of these rewrite because both of them, some parts had sci-fi, and I just like, I'm not a sci-fi girly. I feel like it would be wrong to burn Bury Your Gaze because that would feel like defeating the purpose of the whole book, right? So I'm gonna rewrite Bury Your Gaze, take the sci-fi elements out, and then burn A Sunny Place for Shady People because it's a story collection. I own another one by Mariana Enriquez. I have Dangers of Smoking in Bed, and I only really enjoyed like maybe 3 or 4 of these. I like the second half of stories better. I remember one was called Julia, I think, and I really loved that one. I think I gave that one 5 stars. This was a fun little story collection. Overall, I gave it 4 stars. Did I say that already? I don't know. But I am one of those bitches who rates every story in story collections because it's just fun for me. Julie is the name, not Julia. There was a good mix of faces being distorted, creature features, and I think the first one was pretty sci-fi if I recall, but yeah, I would burn that. Next 3, we've got The Answer is No by Frederick Bachman, Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood, and then Murder Road by Simone St. James. Oh god, okay. I would reread The Answer is No because I love Frederick Bachman and I'm sure I missed a lot from the short story that I read. I gave this 3 stars. I just liked our main character. I forgot his name. Was it Lucas? He was just like an introvert and he like hated people. He was very crotchety, but then all these neighbors kept annoying him. It was very much like A Man Called Ova, but a short story. But then it got weird with these angels and I don't even know. I would reread that. I would rewrite Two Can Play. This is only available in audiobook from what I've come to understand. It's by Ali Hazelwood, like I said, and it's about gamers. There's a miscommunication trope in this, so I would rewrite that part. When did I read Two Can Play? Oh, was that Patreon readathon? Okay, let's see. So there were 2 rival video gaming companies and there was forced proximity between the 2 main characters, and they've had interactions in the past at like a party and other work events and stuff like that. There was a miscommunication trope and then they figure it all out, and their chemistry was just meh. It was alright, I guess, but I gave it 2 stars. It was not my favorite Ali Hazelwood novella or writing by any means. And then I would burn Murder Road. We have Blood Like Mine by Stuart Neville, definitely going on my most surprising of 2025. The Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Bachman, and then The City in Glass by Nevo. I would reread Blood Like Mine. I gave it 5 stars. It's my second 5 stars of the year. I hate the cover, so I almost didn't read it, but I ended up reading it, loving it, buying myself a copy, a UK cover though, because apparently it's going to be a trilogy and I want to read the whole thing. And I read this in like a day. I binged 100 pages in like an hour. it. I've never read anything so fast in months. It's a thriller with vampires, and it's about this mother and daughter who are on the run for some reason, and then we get the detective perspective, and they come together somehow, and it's just written so well, and you get invested in these characters by the end, and there are these letters in between chapters, and everything connects. Oh, it was such a fun read. Never would have picked up this book if it weren't for the horror Goodreads vlog. The Deal of a Lifetime. It's a Christmas novella by Frederick Bachman. 4 stars, but I couldn't tell you much about it. So I'm gonna burn that, and I'll find the vlog and hopefully link it down below. But I'm sure it was wholesome. I can't remember what it was about. I just know it took place on Christmas and it was a novella. I guess I liked it. I'm so sorry. My brain is so foggy right now. But The City in Glass I would rewrite. I know Nevo has that metaphorical writing style, but I just need a little bit of hand-holding in this one. I need more straightforward thoughts, straightforward sentences. I would reread it realistically, eventually, but it's not priority or anything. But yeah. Why do I have an even amount? I have Heartless by Elsie Silver, Liars by Sarah Manguso, and then The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill, and then I don't have a slip of paper for We Need to Do Something, so this is going to be my wild card. The Moth Keeper I would burn. It was a cute art style and everything. It was a graphic novel. I gave it 3 stars, but the story was nothing special. It didn't hit me in any way. I just liked looking at the illustrations, and I love Kay O'Neill's work. I would reread Heartless. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. Yes, I'm reading it. Yes, I love cowboy romances. Hi, I'm Jan. Nice to meet you. This was the single dad trope. Love a single dad trope. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. I don't like kids in books, but when it's a single dad trope with a kid in a book, usually it bodes well for me. I gave this 4 stars. And then Liars I would rewrite because I wanted more of like My Husband by Maud Ventura vibes. This was a lot more depressing, and I wanted more unhinged type of marriage falling apart story, you know what I mean? But this is told in like vignettes. There are no chapters in this book, but it was a really fast read, and there were some relatable moments. You just want to like shake the character by the shoulders and scream in her face to be like, why are you making all these decisions, and why aren't you putting yourself first? The main character definitely needs therapy and self-love and a lot of validation from within because she seeks it out from too many other places. Okay, and then We Need to Do Something. I think I would rewrite. I think I said I would rewrite it in my vlog to make it more realistic and less occult. It would have been such a better story if there was no like occult supernatural shit. I love this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was riveting. It was intense. This family's stuck in a bathroom after a tornado and a tree is blocking the door, but there's this like occult thing that goes on with the daughter, and I just didn't need that. And that's weird for me to say because usually I love occult stories and supernatural elements in horror, but I didn't feel like this needed it. I do recommend watching the film adaptation as well. It's an indie film. I rented it on YouTube for like $3, and Joey and I watched it, and he really liked it too. Thank you to Gabby for this recommendation. And that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you agree, disagree, chat in the comments about any of these books. If you made it to the end of this video, let's put the coffee cup emoji in the comments down below, because that's what I see on my reading journal. Just like the coffee mug for a cozy little time. Oh, then there's one on my Dear Reader sweatshirt too from Gigi and Bo. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to do some self-care. Hope you had a 5-star day, and I'll see you in my next video.